justice for all.
All right, roll call, Christina?
Here.
Kurt?
Here.
Trevor?
Here.
David?
Here.
Don?
Here.
John?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Jessica?
Here.
Gretchen?
Here.
And I'm here. There's no special board recognition. Matt, did you sign in to speak tonight? Okay. All right, first order of business is taking the oath of office, and I'll give that to Chris.
All right. Thank you. It's a great honor to be here, and it's always fun for us as attorneys to be doing something exciting and fun and not so much dealing with problems that arise. So, happy to be here. Christina and John and David, would you all please stand?
Done, right?
Oh, Don. I don't think I had Don on my list, but okay. All right. Would all of you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name.
I, Don Jane,
Solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the State of Indiana.
and the State of Indiana.
I will faithfully execute
I will faithfully execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a member of the Board of School Trustees
as a member of the Board of School Trustees
of Wa-Nee Community School Corporation.
of Wa-Nee Community School Corporation.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Chris.
Now I'll have some things for you all to sign at the end.
All right, congratulations, and board members, welcome.
Yes, welcome.
First item is we need election of a board president. Do we have any nominations?
Nominate Christine Eshelman to serve as board president.
So Kurt is nominating Christina. Do I have a second?
Second.
And Trevor seconds. Are there any additional nominees? Okay, is there a motion to approve Christina as your president?
So moved.
Don? And then seconds?
Second.
Brian? And Chris, I don't need a second for, it can just be one nomination, right? We don't need a second to nominate, correct? Then we need a motion and a second then to approve.
Right, so you can, whenever you're satisfied that everybody's been nominated, close nominations, and assuming there's only one person nominated, you just vote to approve.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so all those in favor of approving Christina as the president, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Christina, congratulations, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item of business is the nomination for our election of a vice president. Are there any nominees?
Nominate Don Langham to serve as vice president.
Don,
Second?
okay. Are there any other nominees? Okay, is there a motion to approve Don as your vice president?
So moved?
Christina,
Second.
and a second from Kurt. All right, all those in favor of Christina being, or of Don being the vice president, please say aye. Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Don. Next item is the election of the board secretary. Do we have any nominees?
Nominate Trevor Bushbooth.
Is nominating
Second.
Trevor. And a second from Brian. Are there any additional nominees? Okay, hearing none. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
And a second from Kurt. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, same side. Congratulations, Trevor. All right, next item is the Board of Finance President, which typically is the board president.
I nominate Christine Eshelman.
Second?
Second from Trevor. Any additional nominees? All right, need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Kurt, any seconds?
second.
David, for a second. All right, all those in favor of Christina serving as the Board of Finance President, please say aye. Opposed, same side. Congratulations, Christina. secretary, which is typically our board secretary. I'll take a motion or a nominee.
Nominate Trevor.
Christina nominates Trevor.
Second.
And Brian has seconded that motion. Are there any additional nominees? All right, I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Kurt. Any seconds?
Second.
Donna. All those in favor of Trevor serving as the finance secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the Board of Finance report.
Okay. As part of the Board of Finance report, I wanted to present the investment report. So in your packet, you would have received a report on interest from 2013 through 2024. Obviously, the most recent being the 2024. You can see we took a slight decline in interest. That basically we're earning federal funds plus 20 points on our operating account. So, and basically quarter 4 of 2024, the interest rate did go down some. So, any questions on that?
Is it possible to make it a little bit longer?
Oh, sure. Then I can move on. The second requirement is the report on fiscal indicators. This report is this is another report that we're required to do during the Board of Finance meeting. This report is at this, if you follow this link, it'll take you, and you can, it's a little bit more interactive than my presentation here, but we're just gonna breeze through this pretty quick. The first report is our ADM since 2015 through 24. As you can see, it's been on a decline since the 19-20 school year, since COVID. Our fall 2019 count was 3,049 compared to fall of 23, which was 2,858. The fall of 24 was 2,847. So we've just kind of seen that decline slightly. The next report is annual deficit and surplus. My goal is to never spend out more than what we take in. As you can see, in 2023, the green is revenue and the blue is expenses, and we exceeded our revenue. We have made an effort to spend down the operations fund, so you can see that took place in 23, and you'll see that a little bit in 24. This next report, fund balance as a percentage of expenditures, just based on what we just talked about, that would be expected to see a drop. In other words, we dropped our reserve, our fund balance. And so there was a drop between 22 and 23. Fund balance, the blue is our construction fund, so those are monies that we receive when we sell bonds. The yellow is operations fund, so you can also see that this is a decline. The ones that are negative are going to be any federal money or the federal surplus money, and that is based on we received that on a reimbursement, so that's just a timing issue, the reason why it's in a deficit. Revenue by type, our biggest revenues is state revenue and local tax revenue. State revenue includes the basic grant, state grants, and textbook assistance, and of course local revenue, local tax revenue is all the property tax collections that we receive. So you can see the blue is the state revenue, and the local tax is going to be the pink. And last is just going to be the operating revenue, or operating referendum revenue. The referendum was in 2018. We started collecting revenue in 2019. So we are just starting our 7th year of that, and that is of course used for school safety. That is it for that report. Any questions? The last report is just a report on outstanding checks for more than 2 years, and we just have to present this report. So those are all the checks that have been outstanding for more than 2 years. And that is it.
I see on one of those is Amy Rosa.
I know, I think it's that strange.
Is that something that, we
I believe
reimburse her
she was
back, or-
contacted back in 2022 when it was issued, obviously, and I don't know what else has been done since that point, so.
What happens with those funds if they don't?
So they get receipted back into the fund that it was written out of when we receipted back into the fund.
And is that state law or is that just what
It's
we do?
state law, yep.
On a case like that, that's that much an employee, and I guess the other ones are too, but that much, is that something that would get reimbursed to her?
I mean, we can talk to her about that.
I think we should.
I think
Yeah.
That's a pretty
For
big
that
amount
amount.
current.
Yeah.
It's not like a $20 check.
Yeah. That's, I don't know what that would have been, maybe a paycheck back in.
No, these aren't paychecks.
Okay.
It was a reimbursement.
You're right. Okay, we'll circle back with her on that one, definitely make sure.
Maybe Matt.
Do you know what that would have been?
I don't. Why are you not texting her right now?
Can you please text her?
He's sitting in his cushion, she's
2000.
She doesn't want it. Grab a screenshot.
I'll call her. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Alright. Any additional questions? I know we went through that DUAB presentation. Again, that's the distress unit, account appeals board. It's a state law. If you guys will recall, Muncie Community Schools and Gary had some financial challenges about 5 years ago, and so that report is required for us to do on an annual basis, just to kind of give you guys a thorough health update. We do it on a monthly basis anyway, so probably none of that's real news to you, but at the same sense, I know we have some new board members, and maybe some of that language we use is not entirely clear, so if there's any questions on it, please let us know. I want to make sure you guys are well informed on the health of our finances, so. And obviously Jessica's always available, and she's happy to sit down and chat with you guys some more, especially new board members that come on and are learning the nuances of school finance, so please reach out to us so we can communicate that with you. All right, I'm gonna hand off to Christina now, you're in charge.
Hey, backing up, do we need to add Don's name to the agenda so it's on here for the minutes?
Absolutely.
Because his name wasn't on there for the new, for the oath of office. Just didn't know if we need to have it on there for record purposes.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's just because you used to get a different cycle. I wonder if that just got messed up somehow.
I've been on the cycle though for a while.
Or, yeah, that's weird.
So, yeah.
Don, I apologize, I don't know why that was left on there. I did review this and didn't catch that either, so thank you, Kurt, for catching that.
Okay, we'll move on to establishing a date and time for our regular board meetings. Typically, we meet the second and fourth Monday of every month at 6 p.m. Does that still work for everybody, or does anybody have any kind of?
The calendar's up here, because again, in December and July, we just meet once. We typically have just met once, so.
I mean, there was a time
You want a
way
motion?
back in the day when we used to meet at 7, and then I know we moved it around.
Motion to discuss?
Oh, yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Kurt and a second from Trevor. So is there any conflict with 6 o'clock for everybody? Does anybody want to suggest a different time?
That Tuesday's normally got conflict with. Those are my late days, so, but may or may not make it, just depends on how that goes. Everything else is good for me.
6 o'clock works?
Yeah.
Dave and John, I know you guys are new, so I don't know.
It usually works maybe on a Tuesday. I also, but tomorrow night I have a board meeting at church, so I'll have those on
Okay.
Tuesday evenings. So possibly the 27th.
Would pushing that one board meeting back,
Do we push it back or make it at 6?
Well, let me look here.
we could do earlier too.
We can always adjust that one if it gets
Yeah,
closer.
as it gets closer, we can always adjust that.
Yeah. It looks like it should be fine, so we should be good
But
there.
in general, 6 o'clock is a doable time.
Mondays are good.
That's good.
I see that they're all administration building, is that because they're recorded now and
Yep.
not getting to schools because of that?
Correct. But we thought about, I think the feedback I got from the work session was perhaps just having a once-a-year work session, so you guys had a chance to interact more authentically with the administration team. So that's hopefully what we can do, perhaps do to replace that.
And possibly after a meeting, we could always go to a building and kind of walk around if there's anything that's going on that would be good to see. I know we've checked out like different
Yeah.
times when they've done. But yeah, it is too bad too that we've kind of lost out on that opportunity, because it's always fun to go to the building.
The other thing too, I know the administration, and we'll bring this up again this Friday, we have the admin team meeting on Friday. The administration did talk about, again, just like on a monthly basis, you know, could be Wa-Nee next month. Again, if board members just wanna call ahead and say, hey, I'd like to come in and visit, you know, with staff, stuff like that. And it can be different hours, different times, but just kinda giving them a little bit of heads up. We can make that opportunity available to you as well, so you guys can come in and maybe have an even better look at what goes on a day-to-day basis in the building, so. Again, we're happy to work with anything, but as far as board meeting go, we're gonna be stuck in this building for the time being.
Principals were actually excited about that piece of it. They would be truly happy to show you guys around. They didn't express like nervousness about it or anything. They're very proud of their buildings. They're like, we know that it might not be perfect, but it's what we do every day.
They're kind of fun to
come
see.
on in.
When they're in action too.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so all in favor of the time and dates that we meet, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 7-0. The next action item is the Board of School Trustees to consider the appointment of Warwick and Boyne and Elkhart to serve as our attorneys.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion from Trevor and a second from Kurt. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 7-0. Action item J, the Board of Trustees will consider the appointment of Treasurer and Deputy Treasurer of the Wa-Nee Community Schools to serve from January 1 to 25 to December 31, 2025.
And so we would recommend Jessica, and it is Crystal, correct, for those two roles. They've served in those capacities since, well, Jessica hasn't, but those positions have served in those capacities for as long as I know. And I've been here the last 8 years, so we'd recommend that.
Do I have
I make a motion that we accept Scott's recommendation.
Second.
Motion from Don and a second from Trevor. Any question or discussion on the nominations? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 7-0. I think we're done with all the housekeeping.
I think so.
Which is nice. I will take a motion for the amendments to the agenda that are at your spot.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Kurt and a second from Don. Any questions or discussion on those amendments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 7-0. I'll take a motion for the consent items to include the amendment items we just added.
Make a motion that we accept the consent items with the addition of those, additional consent items that we just approved.
Second.
Motion from Don and a second from Trevor. Any questions or comments on those? There's a lot of them.
Have some really good teachers retiring at the end of the year, so
Yes.
definitely appreciate what they've done for the school corporation for all the years they've been here.
Yeah.
Assume there's probably more maybe coming yet?
I think there may be a few more. If you recall, in our master contract, we did negotiate an incentive for early notification of retirement, so that's why you're seeing several come out in January now. John knows hiring anymore, getting out as early as possible is so critical with teaching, the teaching shortage, so that's why we built in that $5,000 stipend into the master contract to incentivize people to get early notification that they're gonna retire.
When's that date?
It is the third Friday in January is the last drop dead date, so if you know anyone that's looking at retirement, you have any conversation, please remind them.
Alright, any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 7-0.
And I'm sorry, who was the motion in the second on that?
Don and Trevor.
Thank you.
Okay, action items, consider the approval of Wa-Nee opening norms and core values.
In your board packet, you get a copy of our operating norms and our core values. As you'll see, they're also on, in our boardroom here as well. We worked on these during the work session back in, I believe it was October, November.
or discussion on that?
I'm sorry, before you guys get into that, I also did place in front of you a copy of the plan on the page. The one item we were still working on, it was highlighted in yellow, was the specific metrics that we would use to, I guess, gauge how we're doing on our overriding goals there. We spent the last 2 months having some conversations with the admin team. These are where we still feel probably encapsulate that. We had some conversation whether anything different. So we're gonna meet one more time this Friday in the admin team meeting to kind of solidify that that's where we're still landing. But again, if you as a board wanna see something different on here, please let us know. We're not asking you to approve this tonight. Again, I just wanna get this in front of you tonight so you have a chance to review it. And again, if there's some other metrics that you think are better to help us gauge on those overriding goals, please let us know. And we can have that conversation and bring it back to you guys during the second meeting in January for approval.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. And that motion carries 7-0. The next item doesn't require action.
Does not.
Consider the acceptance of annual conflict of interest statements.
And so the statements were in your board packet, but you'll see them. I have a wife that works here. So there's that. Ms. Curtis. Was your disclosure for
Probably the daughter.
Bailey? Okay. John Hayne, spouse. Yep.
Alright, so we're all aware now? Any questions or discussion? We're all, okay. Action item C, consider the approval of the Field of Dreams Safety Netting Project.
In your board packet, you have a copy of a proposal from R. Yoder. Pleased to recommend a local vendor on this. We did go through RFP in October and November. We did have 2 bids that came back. Both were local, but we are recommending this one to provide protective covering over our fans at the Field of Dreams project. You'll see the cost there, $359,500.
Make a motion to approve the Field of Dreams safety netting project as presented.
Second.
Motion from Kurt and a second from Brian. Comments, questions, discussion?
So they feel they'll be able to finish this in time for the start?
They do. They are working right now to kind of get things together. They're obviously asking for feedback. We heard many criticism from the board. I told them at this point in time I had not heard anything, and so they spent, I think Sean and I pretty much got this wrapped up over Christmas break. And so they've been still kind of working and getting things together. Nothing that was full commitment, but still getting some of the planning work together. And with approval on this, I think they're gonna break ground next week or the following week and start saw cutting into the concrete. So hope is that by mid-March, everything's up and going.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 7-0. And our final action item is consider the approval of the reappointment of Andrew Hostetter to the Wakarusa Public Library Board.
Andy's a teacher in our district, and he's been serving on that. I know at least 2 other terms, and so this would just be a reappointment of that. I apologize for the late notification on that. I think this one kind of caught the library board off guard, so they sent us the recommendation over the Christmas break and got this in your board packet. So we recommend as presented.
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion from Trevor and a second from David. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign.
And we actually have one
That
last.
motion carries 7-0. Oh,
Yes,
another one.
Yep, on the action items.
Oh.
Again, we got notification, actually Kurt contacted me last week and sent over the information today. We're recommending that Kurt continue to serve as the Wa-Nee Community Schools representative for the Wakarusa Redevelopment Commission. Each redevelopment commission needs to have one board appointee. It's a non-voting board
Don, and a second from Trevor. Any questions or discussion?
Is something I probably don't vote on?
Yeah, vote for yourself.
Yeah.
Why not?
You're willing to do it?
That means it's not vote, that means it's something I can vote on, cause I can't vote there.
Yeah. So now, this is your chance to vote something.
Right.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, voted, yeah. That motion carries 7-0. And
So
I-
vote a side note to that is you are on our news.
I am. Do we wanna change that?
No.
What's that, you're on that meeting?
No.
Christine.
It's been a hot minute since I've been there. I mean, if
Just a
they,
couple of bylaws.
maybe if they have some snacks at Old Early. Well, let's Starbucks,
Maybe
Main Street. All right, that's it.
Alright, only item we have for discussion tonight is the high school course description guide, and we'll hand that off to Gretchen.
So there's two parts to this. The first part, actually there's three parts, forgive me. The first part is credit recovery. So there's a memo in your packet, outlining the credit recovery software that we've used for the last several years. Edgenuity or Imagine Learning we've used for probably the last 5 or 6 years. We took it through a textbook adoption committee last year, and then Apex has been here since before I was here, and that's another credit recovery software. Typically we use Apex. If a student has taken a course with our teacher and they have not passed, they can retake that same course using Apex. But if it's an initial course, like for our alternative education program, then they take Edgenuity. It's just a little bit more in-depth and a little bit more better experience for like a first-time experience. And so that's why we have the two different programs that we use in that manner. So this outlines which courses we anticipate using within both programs so that you have that information as well. And so this is just discussion tonight and for you to be able to look it over, and then at the next board meeting I'll bring it asking for approval. Any questions on the credit recovery portion? So they use Edgenuity at the alternative education site at the middle school and at the high school.
So this was our first year using that, you said? Or no?
No, we've used it for probably about 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Apex we've used since before I was here.
Pretty reliable, you think?
Yes, the teachers, currently Carrie O'Keefe, Lisa Sherman, before that Brenda Beeler and Corey Duncan brought it on board. They've all been impressed with it, just the in-depthness that it goes for someone who hasn't had that course with a live teacher before. They've been pretty impressed with that, so we feel like it just better prepares students for that high school diploma. Okay, the other memo that you have in your packet is a memo that outlines the changes made to the course description guide. So you have the full-blown course description guide, and then you can see some updates that are on the memo outlined there. The first part is just an updated introduction section that reflects the health and wellness courses that we offer. Ag, we did have to eliminate one of the ag courses because it's no longer considered a course at the state level. So the state gives us the courses in December, and then we do a quick turnaround to get our course description guide ready by January for board approval, so we can start scheduling kids in February for next year. So it's starting in December, we start preparing for the next school year in a very fast manner. So that is the elimination of that ag course. We did adjust the prerequisites you will see on ag, business, and fine arts. We did that to try to open those courses up to more students. So it previously stated that you had to take the principal's course first, but we did want to offer those courses if a student wanted to take it as an elective and not necessarily like the full pathway, then they could take that course. So that's where some of that has changed. For English, just a name change from critical thinking to English 9 honors to reflect the state requirements.
And social studies, they added a prerequisite, just this is the first year that we've had an AP World History course, and after the experience of this year, they just added on a prerequisite to hopefully have students be more successful who are taking that course. And then science, I saved the best for last. Science, they listed some things on here for the initial approval, but then at your table, I gave you an updated one just as of today with a highlight on there for science. We had to make a couple of changes. Our instructor, Mike Nolt, who teaches our dual credit chemistry class, is no longer going to be able to teach that class due to certification requirements through IU. Obviously, he's a phenomenal teacher, and we want students to experience his greatness, and so we had to look at what can we offer and how do we want to offer that. We originally looked at dual credit through Trine University for physics and for chemistry. However, after the teachers, Justin Bell, Mike Knoll, and Steph Neff as department chair looked into it, it's very high cost, about $350 to $500 per course for each kid that they'd have to pay out of pocket. And the content that those courses offered at Trine versus what we typically have been offering, there was a little bit of a disconnect there. And so the three of them together decided that they wanted to take a different route. And so the different route is what is highlighted grade, I guess, on yours, on that second handout that was at your table. And so where they landed was that instead of offering dual credit through Trine, that they would be offering AP. So for physics, they would have 2 trimesters required and a 3rd trimester optional for students who want to sit for that AP exam. And then for chemistry, they would do something similar where it would be a 3 trimester class with an AP exam option. In order to continue with the college ICC, the Indiana College Core, they do need to have an offering of a dual credit for science, and so to fit that box, then they are recommending that we add a dual credit biology option that Steph Neff would be able to proctor. And so I apologize, this obviously came out today, so this is just for discussion, and I'll bring it back to the board at the next board meeting in 2 weeks, and I'll have it all in one document and one updated course description guide. But you have the updated pages at that packet that was at your table also, so you can see what that would look like. And those pages will just replace the ones that are in the one that was originally sent to you. But that's the reason why behind the changes. Any questions on the course description guide or the updates?
So we still have more dual credit offerings than AP overall. Cause don't the teachers have to be credited, right?
Right,
We
to
talked
be able
about
to
that,
teach
so
the
we
dual credit.
paid them for it,
Mhm.
to get accreditation and all that.
We have added more AP, but I do believe we still have more dual credit. I'd have to do a side by side.
Yeah, do it come out.
Yeah. We
Just
did.
as, it seems like it's in the past, from what,
Mhm.
this is just, in the past, it could be a bit different now, that dual credit was much easier to get the college credits than taking the AP exam, and
Yeah.
some kids may not get the credit if they don't pass the AP exam, because they have to pass that to get the credits, correct?
Yes, there are 2 camps and the pros and cons for each one. Generally, I would say AP is if you want to go out of state, if you want to go to like a Harvard or Stanford or something like that, then AP is the more apt to take you. It's another look at. If you have many AP courses, then that is another look. But dual credit is something that is a little bit easier to obtain. You have more control, I guess, because it's not just dependent on an exam. You have control throughout the year, and if you're going to an Indiana school in particular, then that might be a route to go. But even then, some credits don't transfer as that course. They would transfer as an elective versus,
Yes.
and same thing with AP. Some of our AP courses would transfer to schools as an elective, not as an English course, for example. So it very much depends on where you want to go and what your plan is.
However, that is the value though of the Indiana College Core, is if you put that sequence of courses together in that package, the Indiana College Core, it will translate to 30 credits and it's a one-to-one transfer to any school in the state of Indiana. And so that's why it is important, that's why we did add back that biology dual credit. And that's why it was important to do that, so that those kids, we need 27 credits. Now half of their credits are gonna be elective credits, we wanna make it to that 30. So it became a one-to-one for kids. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Some of you that have college kids, you know, colleges can play some funny games sometimes when it comes to the dual credit thing, and,
I know one of the things was professional school.
excuse me?
Professional school, like medical, dental, that they wouldn't take the AP Physics.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
You had to take it again,
Yeah.
so, or the chemistry, so it was one of those that, that's when we were trying, I think. I don't know about IU, if they would take it, even if we were doing it through ISB,
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet, but
Yeah.
that was one of those things that was like, let's not ruin your GPA in high school, just in case. You gotta take
Yeah.
it again anyway.
True. We do have more offerings for students, I would say now, with world history being added in as an AP. So previously, one of the things that we discussed with the high ability committee, and we have some parents and teachers on that committee, is if you have high level courses through 8th grade, but then in freshman and sophomore year, you don't have high level courses, you don't have those opportunities until junior year. So now we have world history, we have 2 AP English courses that we've offered, so we try to have some more opportunities at that level also.
So if the teachers are teaching AP, is it the same requirements for them?
No.
They don't have to be credited and all that?
Just need to be a certified teacher.
And then it's up to the student to pass that exam.
So is it more work on the teacher for an AP than versus a standard class? Like if I'm teaching and I get paid extra to teach this as a dual credit, but I don't as an AP class, and I still have the same workload as a dual credit, I mean,
The payment,
just how does that work for the teachers, I guess?
the additional payment for the teachers on the dual credit class typically has to do with them going back and receiving an additional credential, which is that master's degree in the specific content area. And so that's what they're being reimbursed for, not necessarily for teaching the course itself. And so, I'd say that teaching the courses are very much equivalent. It's just, to teach an AP class, you don't need to have a master's degree in the content area, whereas in the dual credit class, they do require that you have a master's degree in that content area. And so that's why there's that pay difference.
Which is why Michael No can't teach it, but he teaches college level classes now, I think, for Goshen, doesn't he?
I don't know if he does or not. I don't know if he does or not, but
Maybe Bethel.
Yeah.
He does Bethel, actually.
does he?
I think so.
That's
I
always
don't
been
know.
the
Is it
irony of it.
Bethel?
You know, you go to
Joey
Purdue
Jordan
University
had
and you have these graduate assistants that are teaching freshman, sophomore year courses, but our teachers who've been teaching that same content for years
Can't touch it.
can't touch it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have told me if he was at that.
No.
Yeah, Joey
Well,
would
it'd just be
have
a heads up. for like a meeting.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Do you keep track of how many kids pass the AP? For example, if there's somebody teaching AP and majority of the kids don't pass it, then is that sort of a,
Yeah, we definitely have, and with the high ability group, we've really been looking at the high school. Our current sophomores are the first class that we've been very intentional from the time they were in 5th grade of identifying the group of high ability students in particular, so we're looking at that data also. And then if they're not passing the exam, then is it a curriculum, is it instruction, is it content, you know, what can we do to make sure kids are successful?
So I have a question, just in general, for a student, with all the different graduation requirements and all that, seems like it's a moving target. Did the school counselor sit down with each student and kind of help guide them through, like, their pathway or whatever, or is it kind of just laid out and they kind of figure it out on their own?
It's a great question.
That's a great question.
I know that they meet with every student,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that I don't know what all is discussed during those meetings.
Just curious,
I think it'd be interesting maybe to get a parent perspective on that, maybe better than,
mine
Yeah.
was that we did a lot of it.
Well, I know I mean, that was my wife's gig and she loved that stuff, and we had Jim Webster and he's like, that's what I do? Yeah, I trust you. So,
We did some most recently with Claire, graduating this year. Each of the three, gosh, I've had a lot of kids here recently graduate. I know, it's getting there. And we got one at a scheduling meeting tonight, so this should be interesting. It'll be the most fun. You do kind of have to stay on top of it from the parent perspective, and just ask a lot of questions, making sure, so this is very complex and it's gotten more complex. So imagine our high school counselors, they do a great job of providing general guidance and making sure that you're on the right track. But there were definitely times where questions arose or things came up that we put it on our kids actually to go ask the questions and get things figured out. But always, anytime they requested a meeting, the counselor sat down with them, they would talk through whatever it was, and then if we had any questions after that, we would follow up. But they've done a good job. It is, I think though, there's the risk if students are totally hands-off. I mean, obviously, counselors probably know who those kids are too, that they're gonna have to make sure to shepherd along a little better. And I think they do a good job of that. But very responsive, and each of the kids had a pretty good plan. We'll see. I'll update you after I get the full report tonight. Yeah. I'll probably be in trouble for coming to the board meeting instead of going to scheduling. But
I think my personal experience is similar to John's. There's just a lot of independence with the counselor meeting with the student, and so you have to, as a parent, make sure that you're also providing your own input, whether your child wants it or not. And I do think the high school has been trying with like the parent-teacher conferences, taking next level conferences and having more information out. I think as a parent there are opportunities if you want to be involved. If you're not an educator and you're not involved in all of this, then you do have those opportunities, which is new.
So basically take some parent involvement to make it happen.
I always felt like it did. I would always attend it, just to make sure nothing got left out, or, you know, just be aware of why. Because some things are only offered at certain times. So if you miss that window, it could impact, you know, the whole trajectory of everything they wanted to do, or you needed them to be at for the next, so.
Well, just stories I hear on the college level from my wife, it doesn't change.
No,
Because she's had to go back through and try to get kids into classes that they don't offer and try to figure out,
yeah.
you're supposed to graduate, you have to have.
That's when
courses.
they truly
haven't
figure
done
out
this.
their own, because parents are involved very,
Mhm.
a lot less.
I think from the counselor side, I hear, like, yes, you might want all of these courses, but it's not possible. You know, if you're in things like DG that are only offered at certain times, you can't take that with, you know, whatever other combination you want, and so there has to be a give and take of an option B, and that's not something that people always wanna hear.
And from a parent side of things, I get it. This won't surprise anybody, but also we have to make sure the rest of our staff who are encouraging kids to enroll in other courses and saying, no, you need to do this every single year. Well, sometimes, no, that doesn't work.
It's gonna be
It won't fit in my kid's schedule, or it will fit and it will put them in a bind later on in their, so, that too.
Yeah.
Just getting them to all work together.
Gosh, I wonder what those courses are.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it feels like with the trimester, it does buy them a little bit more flexibility. Because usually, sometimes you end up with these,
Yep.
okay, now you're just gonna take pottery just because we gotta get,
Yeah.
fill a void, so to speak, you know, so there's give and takes, I'm sure.
For sure.
So this is the course description guide. Please enjoy it, enjoy the reading. If you have any questions, let us know, and we'll talk through it. Be back for approval next board meeting.
Alright.
Just, sorry, two more items I want to put on your radar. We are beginning the facility study. We met with Bart Covilma last week. I'm working on a survey right now that I can send out to the entire staff just to solicit some additional feedback. There are also going to be Randy Zimmerly, yes, district and show off what we have to make available to us, and by enticing them to some free interview feedback and tips and things like that for them, so.
What was that date again? Sorry.
January 29th, it's a Wednesday, right?
Can you send
Thursday.
something like that? I got somebody that might be interested in coming.
Absolutely, we'll send it to you.
Yep. January 29th is the last
It's
day.
on our Facebook page too, the district Facebook page. I shall ask Brian to update that and send it back out again. But we'll get you some documentation. I know we sent something to Jim at Bethel, so, sorry.
So interesting, there's one LED
This is 4 to 7.
Oh,
student
47.
that will be student teaching in the fall.
I could be there
Right
today.
now. Roll us up.
4 to 7.
That's
I
it.
could be there at 8, thanks Christine.
You welcome.
One. No, it's
Let's just
not a
test it.
normal time, if you finish in spring, student teaching fall, but still it's only one LED
Wow.
right now.
Jeez.
So they are way down there.
It's 47 makes sense for
Their
teachers.
education majors. In the traditional sense, they've got more transition to teaching people that are doing that.
Yep.
Which is good.
It
But
is.
traditional, there's not many students.
Gretchen and I have a meeting tomorrow. Gretchen's been really pushing us to get an educational apprenticeship up and going in our district. And so we've got a hospital partnership with Ball State University that kids could essentially knock out 2 years of their education coursework with Ball State. We tried first targeting, our local schools, and it's like everything. There's so many different moving parts and pieces to get them all to fit them together. But Ball State seems to have gotten that model picked out. So we're, again, trying from all angles to, I guess, build our own teachers and build our own teaching force as well, starting in the high school level. So we'll see.
They throw a word out.
May throw the word out.
Yeah, see if somebody else will be interested in that. Like pushing to do something.
Yep.
They need to do something.
Yep.
Bad.
We're hoping maybe we get Ball State. Ball State says yes, we can then go back and maybe some local books. Look, they figured this out.
Yeah.
One last chance.
Yeah,
Got a lot of kids that stay in this area. So, but
exactly.
We've tried a couple times with the IOSB too, and that has not panned out.
Yeah.
But
we'll keep trying.
Similarly, they have very small numbers and have combined some schools and things like that, so.
So,
That's all we have tonight.
All right, there being no further business come to the attention of the board, a motion to adjourn is in order.
so move.
Second.
Motion from Kurt, and second from Trevor. All in favor say aye.